This is How America Was Stolen, Episode 10. The early colonies were small at first, struggling settlements, barely alive, clinging to the edge of a continent they didn't understand. But soon things changed, and what changed wasn't just the colonies, it was the scale. Because once Europe realized the land could bring wealth, power, and empire, the gates opened. And the next wave arrived, not dozens of settlers, but hundreds. Then thousands. Then tens of thousands. This wasn't exploration anymore. It wasn't survival. It wasn't mutual contact. It was migration with the force of a tidal wave. A wave powerful enough to drown entire nations. It began with letters written by early settlers. Letters that exaggerated success, minimized conflict, and painted the native lands as untouched paradise. Letters filled with promises. There is free land here. There is endless opportunity. A man can become wealthy overnight. These letters spread across Europe like wildfire. Poor families saw a chance for a new life. Adventurers saw a place to gain fortune. Criminals saw a place to escape punishment. Investors saw a land of endless profit. But no one told them the truth, that the land wasn't empty. It was carved out of native nations. It was soaked in blood long before the ink on their letters dried. Still, the ships kept coming. By the early 1600s and into the 1700s, the ports of London, Bristol, Rotterdam, Paris, and Lisbon were filled with people boarding ships for the New World. These journeys were dangerous. Months at sea, storms, sickness, starvation. But the promise of land was too strong. European governments pushed migration aggressively. Why? Because more settlers meant more control. More control meant more land. More land meant more resources. And more resources meant wealth flowing straight back to the crown. Colonies became business projects, and settlers became tools of expansion. On the native side, the change was felt instantly. Villages that once saw a handful of foreigners now saw entire crowds. Settlers began spreading inland, claiming rivers, forests, hunting paths, burial grounds. They planted flags in places where native families had lived for centuries. They cleared forests the tribes used for survival. They blocked routes that connected nations. They built fences where no fences had ever stood. To native peoples, this wasn't just invasion. It was suffocation. Imagine watching strangers walk into your home, place their belongings on your table, and tell you they now own your house. And then watching more strangers walk in behind them, filling every room, every hallway, every space you once lived in freely. That is what mass migration felt like. And as the newcomers grew in number, their attitude changed too. In the early days, settlers needed native knowledge to survive. How to plant corn, where to fish, how to treat sickness, how to navigate winter. But the moment they grew strong enough, the gratitude faded. Respect turned into entitlement. Entitlement turned into arrogance. Arrogance turned into open aggression. More settlers meant more land needed. More land taken meant more conflict. More conflict meant more military force. More military force meant more native blood spilled. Population became a weapon. Every new ship carried not just people, but pressure, but expansion, but domination. As towns grew, so did something else. The belief that native land was theirs by right. Religious leaders claimed it was God's will. Politicians claimed it was necessary for civilization. Investors claimed it was good business. Colonies passed laws granting European settlers ownership of land they had never seen. The story was shaping itself into something darker. And by the time native nations realized the scale of what was happening, the numbers were too large to ignore. The newcomers were no longer guests. They were no longer visitors. They were becoming a replacement population. The seeds of a continent-wide takeover had been planted and watered by every new wave of ships crossing the Atlantic. Episode 11 will tell the truth about what happened next. When the newcomers began pushing violently into native homelands, demanding total control.